Yeah.
So Josiah, D. Albini, you Italian?
No.
What?
No. Actually been asked that a lot. I am German Polish on my dad's side and Scottish on my mom's side. So it all comes down to like my dad's family immigrating here, and then 2 generations in they changed it because it was a German name, and this was the 1800s. So
That's funny.
yeah.
Well, DeGrotto is Italian. That's why I'd asked you.
Yeah,
It's
I love
not-
Italian food, obviously, but no,
right.
I'm not Italian.
I always wondered that. I never wanted to ask it. I had no reason to ask it until I'm recording. So I was like, yeah, I might as well ask that as a question.
Yeah, my grandma, who's Polish, though, made a really good lasagna. I don't know why, but it was just the best lasagna I've ever had.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, I'm Vince DeGrotto. This is Voices of Allen. This is a new podcast we're trying to start up, episode 1. I'm here with Josiah Delabini. We just found out you're not Italian.
Yeah, I'm not Italian.
Not Italian. Good stuff. So you came to Allen when?
I started as a student in 2008.
Okay.
Broke my leg the very first day of school.
How did you break your leg?
Residence Hall Olympics.
Ooh.
Dizzy bat relay didn't pick up my leg, and
You got knees to chest. When you're moving, you got to run knees to chest.
That's how everybody got to know me my first day. Everybody knew me. I didn't know them.
I broke my my ankle and my foot playing intramural flag football in the Red Barn. Doug and I were on the staff team. This was in 06, I believe, and broke my foot. Kind of dangerous to be walking around Allen, I guess, is what we're trying to say.
Jeremy was actually my hall director, and he was there when it happened, and broke my ankle, and I didn't know it was broken until I tried to stand up, and that's when my leg broke.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Ouch.
it was a wonderful way to introduce myself.
So you graduated here. You went to Emporia State.
Yep.
And you didn't become a teacher?
No, I actually went there originally to be a teacher.
I asked that because
I wanted to be a teacher, and so I wanted to teach math, and then I was taking the high-level math classes, and I was like, I don't want to be a teacher anymore. I love what I'm doing as a student. I want to work in higher ed, and so I decided to switch my degree, and my goal was to always go back to higher ed and work in higher ed, and that's where I'm at today.
Now you were in organizations. What organizations and societies?
Yeah. So I was a member of Sigma Tau Gamma fraternity. John Masterson actually recruited me. He was the president here when I was a student and sent my name into him. And from there, I joined student government, where I was a committee chair and the president pro tem, so third in line to the seat. Served on various committees, whether it was tuition and fees with the university, athletic advisory, general education council, really every aspect of the college, which helped me, again, reassure myself that I want to be in higher ed. Interfraternity council, I was the president for that before I became the president of my fraternity, and several honor societies, including the Leadership Honor Society that refounded while I was there. I think I was the third class for Blue Key Honor Society, which is a small group of leaders that are juniors and seniors.
I found out, obviously I joined for social reasons, but as I got into it, the executive portion of it, I found out later on in life when you start getting into a career, a lot of things that I did with the fraternity, it does translate over. It wasn't just paying for your friends or whatever it is that they said when you were there. How did that help you?
Well, as an undergrad, I think it just gave me more of a guideline to be active and to be involved. And then afterwards, really seeing the understanding policies, understanding how to work with people, regardless of who they are. That really pushed that. And then also just how important it is to give back. Myself and one other person, we were the first ones to participate in Polar Plunge with the chapter. And it's been an annual thing from here on out. And so just making sure that we keep those connections, and what I learned during those 3 years I was in the chapter to life now, because I'm an advisor for the chapter. And so again, giving back to them, I get to go see those guys every month. And sometimes they make decisions like we did back then that were stressful for our advisors. And I'm always like ready to pull my hair out. But at the same time, I'm like, I love working with these guys because I get to see them grow up to be the leaders of their communities and the leaders of the organization, like the people before me.
My time there was exactly what you said. It allowed you to, for me, I didn't realize recruitment, the organization, I was president, as crazy as that might be, but it translated over to when I got to Allen, or not Allen, Allen, and then for the career, it really did. You kind of seen like, oh, I learned a lot organization wise. Allen County, 6.5 years.
Yeah, I've been here for 6.5 years as of last month
So you came back.
or this month.
I
Yeah,
remember I came back in 2011. So I was
which was right
here.
after I
Yeah.
graduated.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So I had left in '07 and went and then came back in
Yeah.
11.
So you were like, Josiah's coming. I gotta get out of here.
Right? He's not Italian. He's not Italian. I didn't know it.
He's got weak ankles.
You got to know knees to chest when you do the spin
Yeah.
moves. When you spin it, you got to find out where your equilibrium is.
Yeah.
Admissions counselor was your first 2.5 years.
No, I was an advisor.
Oh, it was advisor.
Yeah, advisor for 2 years.
I just think everyone in admissions knows
Is an admissions counselor.
is admissions counselor because when
Right.
I was here, we even though you're a coach, I was an admissions
Mm-hmm.
counselor and coach and advisor, and I hated it at the time, but now looking back at it, like you can bridge the gap with the student athletes and as
Right.
a coach, like, hey, that doesn't look right. Hey, you should take this.
Mhm.
Hey, listen to me. It kind of helps
Yeah,
bridge the gap.
I love my time as an advisor because it was connecting with the kids, and eventually the kids would see me at their events, whether it was like a theater or music or their games, and then they'd start hanging out in my office, and they'd come to me when they felt comfortable to like ask for help on something, and constantly having kids in and out of my office that just want to be there versus me. I also had to hunt some kids down because like they need to get enrolled. I very much so was like, hey,
You mean they don't-
we got things we need you to
They
do.
don't check their emails?
No, they don't check their emails, and I would not text them.
Yeah. The director of student life position kind of, I think, opened up in 1920.
The summer of COVID.
Okay, yeah, the
Yep.
summer of love.
Yeah.
You, okay, you're right. You, I kind of have an idea why you went that direction.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, the advancement, but what made you go that route?
So student life, that is really, as a student who is super involved, that's where I really wanted to be in higher ed, especially at the time. Didn't want the COVID piece, but that's just when it opened up was when COVID happened. I couldn't have activities, but just to interact with students regardless of whether they're my advisee or not. So it really opened me up to going from maybe 30 to 40 kids on a caseload to now it's every kid on campus is somebody who I can intentionally interact with and impact them to help them when they walk through our doors the very first day to when they cross graduation. As an advisor, seeing them graduate was great, but then being the director of student life where you interact with those kids no matter what every day and you see them accomplish those goals, that's like it hit home every single time I was at graduation.
How do your patience? You got to have patience in that position. I can't imagine.
Some days, yeah. Some days you don't.
No,
No.
you don't. I think the grind of it's got to be a young man's game. Like that's got to be probably the hardest part. I know when Ryan was there, that was the
Mhm.
hardest part. Was just the grind of it. And it's when it's good, it's great. But when
Right.
it's bad,
Yes. The activities and stuff, fantastic. The first week of school where we have an activity every single night for the whole week. Love it. I'm exhausted by Saturday, ready to just like veg out on the couch, watch football. But in terms of just staying active in that sense, fantastic. It's more of like the emergencies and having to drop things that you're working on to go handle the emergency, which is part of the job. But that's the part that wears and tears because those are the things that
you're 24/7.
yeah.
Yeah. I can't.
August 1st to pretty much May 31st
Yeah.
when all the athletes are
Yeah.
gone. And
And did you? I think one thing that stuck out with me when Bilderback was talking about it was he didn't. No offense, I don't want Gavin to burn you out or anything, but yeah, sleep. He said he never really fully got the best sleep because he was always went to bed, and usually on specific days. You
Mhm.
can see trends. I'm assuming socializing trends in the dorms.
yeah,
Those are the days where you don't think. Yeah, he's like, I didn't sleep as well.
graduation weekend.
Yeah. And as soon as he got done with it, I remember telling he was telling me that he got the best sleep he ever got
Mhm.
when he didn't have that.
Yeah, Gavin's first day. It sounds horrible. Gavin's first day, I was at a conference and I slept so good that night. And it wasn't because Gavin was there. I think I just like mentally, I'd finally been like, okay, there's somebody there.
Yeah.
If something happens, I'm good.
Yeah, that's kind of how coaches like in hotel rooms. If you're at like a national meet,
Mhm.
you're just like you don't sleep as well. It's not as easy. You're like, I hope no one gets woken up or that kind of thing. But I
Yeah.
can't imagine. That was one of the things whenever it came up, I was like, nah, I would never want that.
Yeah.
It is because of just the constant 24/7. I can't imagine
Mhm.
having to always be that. Well, so the director of advancement. Now,
Yep.
previously it was kind of endowment. It kind of jumped back
Endowment
around.
and development. Yeah.
What now you're currently correct me wrong, are you finished with your doctorate or the PhD program?
So I'm
or
finishing classes. I'm finishing up one class right now, and then I think I have two more classes afterwards. And then I will do some field experience and my dissertation to get my it's a doctorate of education.
Obviously, with you, admissions, got your foot in the door here back at
Hmm.
the college, student life. I can see where this trend's going, director of advancement.
Hmm.
What led you to that?
Um, Again, it's about the impact. And I see that fundraising isn't necessarily like when in the fraternity, I was the worst recruiter. I could not recruit a guy, but I could recruit his parents because I was an older member. So I could be like, here's all the benefits for your son going down the line. Um, but fundraising, I'm not fully there. Like I'm all about building the relationships, and in order to fundraise, you got to friend raise. And I can be a pretty social person, and so I just see that as the next piece. Again, like I said, 30 to 40 for advising, about 300. We're over 300 for this year in terms of students on campus, which is great. But now I get to impact hundreds of students
Yeah.
and future students and help connect former students and donors and supporters to now or to the college and help them support the college and move us forward. And so that's why I went and applied for the advancement job. And the name change is only just because it's catching up to modern day standards,
Okay.
and really saying, hey, it's not just fundraising, it's alumni relations, it's constituency, it's everything about supporting the college.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I know when you see an endowment calling, you're like, oh, what do they want now? They want
Hmm.
money. What in this day and age it's kind of like what can you get? So what? Okay, so you're calling me up, trying to get me back involved. What's your sell to me? I haven't been in the college. I was involved in the
As of right
past.
now, it'd be that I want to get you back and just hear your story.
Ah,
Um,
nice. I
and
like
here,
that.
like we've got the Hall of Fame induction coming up in a couple weeks, and um, I've been talking to the guys from the 1983 baseball team every now and then. I'm in a group chat with them, and seeing their interaction with each other is just like
The
it's almost like
stories.
I'm with my fraternity brothers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm just watching from the outside. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. And to help facilitate those conversations, because I don't know when the last time they talked to each other. And hopefully it's not rare that they talk to each other, but after this, I hope they continue to do that. And
Yeah.
then I'd love to have them back. I know there's some coaches being inducted and former players are planning to come back. And so that's really, hey, there's a reason that you came here. Now let's talk about why you did and connect you to those who have a similar story.
Because I always felt the hardest part was when you graduated. There's always like that buffer when you graduate from Allen. All right, well, you got about 5 to 7 years
Hmm.
where what can financially, obviously, you might
Right.
not be established. But you don't want to just hit them up financially. You want to
No.
try to keep them engaged
Engaged. Yep.
throughout.
So I'm on ESU's alumni board, and I'll be the president of that after June as a volunteer. And so that is really what it's about. It's about that fundraising, re-engaging folks, um, and whether they're brand new out of the college or they've been out for decades, we want to engage them. We have events and just conversations with them, just to if they can show up in person. That means I think as much as donating because not everybody's able to donate their
Yeah.
time, talent, and treasure. But if you can show up and just show your support, or as maybe you share a post on social media now, that is tremendous for the institution.
I being and coaching in track and cross country community college, you would think that the 2 year shift nonstop. What I have noticed with the past athletes is when they go into a 4 year, they literally have said a lot. The funnest they might have had is a lot of times with their 2 year
Mhm.
school athletes. And I always wonder, I've never really asked them why that is, but I believe it's probably because you're just diving into college, your freshman, sophomore year, and you go through this whole process and journey with each other. And then by the time you're junior and senior, most likely you want to be left alone to begin with. And you still have those lifelong friendships that you had at a 2
Right.
year school. And I've seen that a lot with like the track and cross country programs. They're still talking to each other. They
Mhm.
still,
I think once they transfer it, because they finish their general education classes, and then they're a junior, senior, and so it's very much more transactional
yeah.
for them instead of them just existing.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
at the community college level, they can just exist, take classes, go to practice, do their best, but then when you get to the 4 year, there's such a complete change.
Yeah, there you start to just all right. 'Cause I know when I got to the 4 year school, I kind of got honed in, and the fraternity thing was what got me kind of. I didn't never thought I was going to be a fraternity. I was a student ambassador,
Hmm.
never thought about that. But the more I got into it, I think I opened up more my junior year for myself. But I still remember my time at the 2 year school that I
Yeah.
was at, and that perfect reason is like I didn't have no class socializing,
Yeah.
athletics. That was pretty much it.
Right.
And you remember those times, and you go back and talk about those times. And when I got to the 4 year school, what I remember most is the fraternity moments,
Hmm.
the meets and stuff. But most likely it was I didn't want to meet. No offense, I didn't want to meet any new people. I kind
Yeah.
of was just like, all right, I'm a junior, senior. Let me get this going. But I did notice that with everyone who leaves, they tend to still communicate with their
Their
2 year.
group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially it's your fraternity for 2 years.
Right.
At the 2 year school.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously we started this podcast. I got bored in 2020 and
Right.
did that one out of my office. That was more of I saw potential in it. I really wish I would have continued it and
Hmm.
it would have grew. We had that room, that classroom, and how this thing came about. When you had came to me, I was already kind of burned out. We had an employee decide that that room wasn't good enough for anyone
Right.
to use it, so she moved everything out of it and got rid of everything. And I was a little, it kind of bothered me because I was
Yeah.
like, there's some potential here, and I was really hoping people could utilize this. And when you came to me, I at first I don't know, did I tell you no right away, or I think I might have told you no.
I think you told me no, but then like I would have to figure everything out,
Then
which is a great uh way to do things even in the fraternity is I'm not just going to go with it. You have to come back with the whole thing flesh.
and then when you got a game plan, I was like, all right, do the administrative portion for me and
Hmm.
let me know when I got the green light. And
Right.
the green light happened, and over Christmas break, I think I spent 2 hours. I was like 2 weeks, just 8 hour shifts, just
Yeah.
flipping it.
Yeah.
I
The
wish
constant text messages of like, hey, here's where we're at today. And I'm like,
It-
it doesn't look like much. And then
No.
everything started to come together and the color and everything. And I was like, holy cow, he did this. Like, this is quick and this is good.
my wife's always said to me, she goes, if you want something bad enough, there's nothing that's going to stop you from getting it done.
Mhm.
It's getting you off your butt to
Yeah.
do it.
Getting
That-
you started is different than keeping you going.
No, nothing to do with running. I think it's just because I was hyper focused, and if you put me into, if there's something I really want, and
Mhm.
she's told me this all the time. She gets on to me. She's like, if you really want something, Vince, there's nothing I've never seen you ever. Probably get myself in trouble. Never seen you ever not
Yeah.
get it. But
Are you going to be sleeping on the couch tonight? Is that what you're saying?
no,
Okay.
no,
Just when this airs.
no. But yeah, no. She's always said that to me, and I was that way with coaching, recruiting, all that. Like
Right.
if I was hyper focused, I could just hone in on it. And I look at this as an opportunity for other people to utilize this. For Alan to just what you
Oh,
just said.
everybody's been so excited
Yeah,
about this.
yeah, and
space.
I knew in terms of the red tape, political side of things,
Mhm.
I'm not good with. Never been good with that stuff. I don't think I have the tongue for being politically correct at times. But I knew, and see, as I went, I think I started with this part, and then I looked at walls and started looking around. I was like, all right, let's change this. We can have this. We can
Yeah,
have
because
this
originally this
studio.
was nothing but storage and
Pianos. Yeah, and
And back in the early 90s, it was a classroom,
among other things.
among other things. Yep.
If these walls could talk, we don't want to listen to what they had to say, probably. I was unsure how everyone was going to take it when they finally saw it,
Yeah.
the employees, and it's been nothing but positive. That's kind of been the nice part about it. And it isn't when they're like, hey, your podcast place. I was like, it's not my podcast place. Like, I want it to be
This
the
is
colleges.
it's going to
Um,
be the colleges.
I know when the theater, John, he came up and recorded audio. We have a little audio recording
Oh, yeah.
spot over there. He was able to get audio recording because whenever he tries to record audio,
Mhm.
it's so loud over there, or people shutting doors, banging up. He had
Right.
no really place to go, and he hit me up and was like, "Hey, can you set that up for me?" And set the audio.
Mhm.
And he came in and was able to record things for his theater department. And that was kind of my vision behind it originally. In B20 was a place. I think Nancy calls them
Makerspace?
yeah, I have no idea. But that was kind of what my thought process was, hey, create something that everyone can come and utilize. I know the new cheer and dance coach has been using the photography portion of it.
Mhm.
So there's Green screen. I'm gonna try to get time to do
We
a.
gotta get Gerald on.
Yeah, I
he's
know.
he's
I
at
know.
vacation right now, but we gotta get Gerald on.
There's a green screen, I like to see like a news. I like to see
Right.
publication, broadcasting, open up streaming. Obviously these walls are detachable. You
Hmm.
can set different things up. If instructors want to record maybe the intro, they want to. I always thought to myself like, why couldn't you teach a lesson?
Right.
You know,
For their online
for
classes
instance,
or
have a green screen
yep.
and you have above you what you want to talk about, and that's for the instructors to
Yeah.
set up a time and here I'll put the camera on and record and knock yourself out.
Hmm.
Um, we want to put in a sound booth. We've talked about John and I have talked about building a sound booth in the corner. So if somebody wants to record legitimate recording, whether it's
Right.
singing, it's advertisement, marketing could utilize it. Um, the photography, we have the green screen, the black screen, white screen.
Hmm.
I'm not into the photography stuff as much as someone else, but that was the whole purpose of it, was so that.
Which have you seen what the cheer like the pictures of
No,
the cheer?
no, I
Those
heard
are
he,
fantastic.
I've heard he's done a great
pictures.
job. I've heard about
Yeah,
it.
he
He's
did
hit me
pictures
up.
at
Yeah.
homecoming. Those were fantastic.
He hit me up a few times and I was like, hey man, here's, I don't know where you want your lighting at, but treat this as if this was your space.
Yeah.
Just, tear it down, tear it up, just respect it as if
Yeah.
it was your space. And he's like, fantastic. And he was going to buy himself his own lights, his own
Mhm.
stuff. I was like, no, no, no. That was the whole idea of having this. Because when B20 got rated and pushed everywhere, that was, I was like, okay, I snatched everything up, even though these awesome chairs,
Right.
These were John Masterson chairs,
Yeah.
by the way. They were in
The original chairs of
the
the
original
president's
chairs
office.
of the president's office.
Yep.
They were in Purple Wave, and they didn't get sold, so I just snatched them up. I was like,
Yeah.
that's some good podcast chairs.
Oh, and these are fantastic
Oh, so
chairs. I love
comfortable.
these chairs.
It's so comfortable.
I have the matching office chair at home that I bought from the college.
Oh,
And
was it?
I love it.
Was it in Purple Wave?
No,
Uh,
it was before it got to Purple Wave.
Oh.
I bought it. I bought his solid, I think it's mahogany desk
I think
and
it
the
was-
chair.
I think it was heavy.
Yeah,
That didn't make it.
it was stupid heavy.
That didn't make it a Purple Wave.
No, it didn't.
If it made a Purple Wave, it might have. I was always over in Purple Wave.
Yeah.
The storage was a fitness center, so
Yeah,
which
Roberta
my
was so
office.
excited to hear that somebody wanted to buy the desk and chair, and I put it in my office at home. I use it for everything.
It was a nice setup.
Oh my gosh.
But that was the part that I wanted to see this podcast area grow, and not just podcast, but athlete of the month. If
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
and we got capabilities where we can zoom in a podcast, we can do multiple different things in here. And my hopes was that the higher ups, wink wink, would see all of this, that have the funds and the grants and all the other
Yeah.
stuff. They could. And you can help with that portion of it. The tie the cross the T's and dot the I's and get something set up somewhere on campus so
Oh,
that
yeah.
everything's compliant.
Yep.
That was always my hope for.
Yeah, once we're down on the main floor, we can really grow out the program, especially getting students involved with the production. And I think once we get to that, it's not an if, it's a once.
Yeah.
Because we will, but we'll be able to do this for the whole community and really help promote not just Iola, but what's happening in Allen County, and maybe then also what's happening in Southeast Kansas, because I think we're an area that gets forgotten a lot. We do have news stations in Joplin and Pittsburgh, but there's nothing that's this area.
There's nothing that they aren't tied. I feel like we're on I always thought
They're like in a media desert. We got
Yeah.
the newspaper and the radio, and there's a lot happening around Joplin and Pittsburgh, and so that makes sense. But we need something that holds this area because we're in between Pittsburgh, Joplin, and
Topeka.
Kansas City.
Tosca will love it. She's the one that got this thing going.
Yeah.
She's the one that pushed to get the classroom. She's the one that got everything set up, and she gave me kind of free reign, kind of like she just said, "Hey, don't."
I know
Don't-
she was when I texted her. You had already told her, but she was so excited that this is back.
And that was kind of her vision, was to bring the community itself. So,
Mhm.
you can like advertising. So whenever you're reaching out to somebody like a company or a business, well, what can you provide me? Okay, well, we've got these options, and it's just not tickets to a basketball game or tickets.
And we know it gets this many views,
yeah.
this many clicks, all of that. Yeah. And it also pairs well with theater and film departments' new programs.
Yep.
Because they're trying to build out the film even more. They did the first ever student directed and created film last year. And I think they're going to do that every other year. And so it just pairs so well with so much we have
'Cause
already.
you can You could film like, all right, we're gonna film a or 60-second commercial. We're gonna break them up and get you two 30-second ones that we run during our
Yeah.
basketball games,
Yeah.
and we run through our baseball. So you can sell those ads. You can sell different stuff. That was always my vision. It was like obviously we have a board over here that's
Yeah. Our mind
a flow
mapping.
chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, just randomly over Christmas break, I would just write down an idea that we
And that was
talked
all from
about.
our text messages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was really happy this was able to come back. I just needed for you to do the political side
Yeah.
of things and then say it's good to go, and then get things going.
I think those who were in the know, once they saw it, they were even shocked by how much had been done.
Well, I had a vision in my head, and then as I went, like everything with an ADHD person is like you get going here, and then you like pivot and go across here,
Hmm.
and then you're like, oh, I could go back here, but I can improve it because of what I thought, and it's just next thing you know, I'm carrying tables across campus, to put in
Yeah.
here because we didn't have anything. We didn't have anything. It
Yeah.
was literally
It was an empty room.
I walked around and seen all the scrap and different graveyards of furniture and different tables that the college was like, all right, we're probably going to throw this away. And
Yep.
I asked permission first if you're going to use it, and nope. All right, well, cool. I'll
Yeah.
refurbish it. And some of the stuff, is just scrap put together.
Yeah.
The whole idea was to show the college like, hey, you can do something with anything.
And this is maybe after post the 2020 room,
Yeah.
maybe $500 to $1,000 worth of stuff. And so
Yeah.
imagine if like we had a full budget and
Yeah. So it was kind of
had
the
a
thought
program
process.
and everything else, because
Yeah.
it would just be an amazing. I think we would have a full on professionally looking, like it already looks professional, but even more so like professional
Yes.
lab.
Oh,
Uh,
I know. If you look at some of this, honestly, this room was always my favorite room to pick. I just
Mhm.
knew it was upstairs and how it's set up. You could connect different rafters. There's no ceiling. You just could do a lot with
Mhm.
it. That was always when I seen that back in 2020. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the place I want. It just conflict of interest for
at
what
the time didn't work.
No, it didn't. No, and she gave me 20 room B20, and I wasn't gonna say no. I don't want that. I take anything at the time, but the walls there, you only had specific place on the wall you can hit, and then if you had people going to class, you couldn't record. Like right now,
Right.
we couldn't be recording right now.
No.
The audio would have been. You would
Yeah.
hear people probably
Either
yelling,
heading to
going-
lunch,
yes.
coming back from
Yeah.
lunch, going to practice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you couldn't soundproof it. Whereas here, you don't hear anything.
Mm-mm.
And even yesterday when I was doing sound check, athletic trainers, they were going through the teams and even doing sound check, I couldn't hear anything that
Yeah.
they were playing music and
Mhm.
everything, but that was kind of all the
Yeah, it just
noise
wasn't coming through
cancelers.
on the microphone.
Yeah. When we talked about the voices of Alan, my vision for that and kind of yours was to whether it's an athlete of the month, whether it's to highlight an accomplishment of a department, whether or a teacher won an award or an alumni, or I guess anyone who has had attachment to Alan in some shape or form. And we can even we're able to do Zoom podcasts. It's everything's set up for that as well. My hopes of that is to just bring everyone in, voices of Alan, like
Yeah.
tell your story.
Yeah.
Which for you with advancement, that's going to be huge.
Yeah,
'cause-
that's really why I would love to have the podcast back, and now it is back. Is for folks to tell their story, their Allen story, whether it's a current student or a faculty or staff. Like I said, we got to get Gerald up here. The other one that comes to mind right away is Tracy Lee. She's been here for years. Everyone knows her. She's got stories.
I bet
She's got stories. Love to get Dr. Leffler, our new president, up here so people
Yes.
can meet her. We had a bunch of open meetings for folks to come to, but for those who can't make it, I'd love to have that opportunity for, but also our community members who either have been Allen students or they're an alum or they're just somebody who decides to, you know what, I've got time for Allen. I may not have been a student or anything else, but I have time to give back.
I like what's going on here. You always hear the fake, I live in Allen or I live in Iola, my taxpayer dollars, this and that. Well, guess what? You have the opportunity to become involved
Yes.
in a shape or form, and you might have a business in town, you might want to talk about, or you might have something not to just sell, but a story to tell. Hey, I live in Iola. Allen County's here. Hey, we had athletes over helping, clean up project or whatever the case might be.
We have the kids that go and help Thrive with their trail cleaning at Lehigh Portland State Park. But we also have, I think it's the men's basketball team goes to Presbyterian Church and helps with Sunday soups. And so we also see like our kids are going out into the community to help out, and
Yeah.
if we can just help build that bridge and secure it even more, and see more faculty, not faculty, more community members coming out. We see them at the basketball games, we see them at the volleyball games, so let's see them at all the other stuff that we have on campus, and even when we're away from campus.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I really think it's going to have the potential that I didn't really, honestly, didn't originally when it started, it was just, I was bored
Hmm.
and I started recording things on campus in 2020 because we came to work and next thing you know, like, hey, everyone's got to leave. And I know my wife always tells me, you're not essential. Why are you going to work? And I was
Yeah.
like, nobody's there.
I chose to stay in my office here because I needed that separation between work and home.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got a camera and I started recording and then I got bored in my office and I was like, you know what? Everyone's doing a podcast because it's the pandemic. And,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, let me just do a podcast. And I had a green plant that I still have that my wife gave me for it. And I had the walls.
Are you
and
saying that plant's not real?
no, it's not.
Wow.
I haven't watered it in decades.
It's so green.
Um, those plants are really expensive. Those things are expensive as hell. Like those things are almost $200. I didn't realize it till I was at Target and I seen it and I was like, okay, now I know why. Probably because it doesn't never die.
Yeah, that's what I was.
It's probably why. It's a forever plant. But
Yeah.
no, that was kind of how the process started. And me and Jeremy did the very first one. We called it Allen Pridecast.
Yeah.
And then it went, I just started just jumping back and forth to different coaches. And then Tosca's the one that said, hey, you need to ask John if he wants to do it. And that one was a fun one. That one
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. And he immediately went in and was like, Tosca, why don't we have this? And she's like, I don't know. It's like, if he can do that, because I would do the pre and post production, the lighting, the audio, all of that. And I'm a PE major. Didn't go to college for any of that stuff.
Right.
Now, I did make highlight videos for the fraternity at the end of the year
Mm-hmm.
of all of our fundraising and
Right.
philanthropy,
All of your fun things.
Halloween gatherings. Yeah. There might have been more of pictures and videos from social gatherings than
Yeah.
philanthropy, but you know what? It is what it is. But no, I was always a hobby of mine. I like to do. I like to fly the drone, video, and, all sorts of things. But whenever that came about, that was the whole process. It was like, hey, we can branch out to this. We could, marketing could use it. And I do believe the admissions or Carly, they were taking pictures inside of there, and they were doing a lot of stuff in that. But with coaching and other duties, it just was hard to
Right.
to put my time and the sound quality and everything with it. Like I told you before, you couldn't record at a certain time
Mm-hmm.
frame. It had to be at this time. And it kind of just,
Like I can only imagine if you were still doing it in your office over in
that was
the
also, I
barn,
couldn't, I couldn't.
because you're in the weight room. So
Yes.
good luck with that.
That's why in the summer it worked because no one was on campus in the pandemic. But after that, it just was nonstop. And we were going to record one time and the baseball team came in to lift
Mhm.
weights and I forgot to check the weightlifting and I was like, okay, we can't record, guys. I can't, I'm not trying to go in this audio and try to take out that's going to
All
take
the
me forever.
background, yeah.
It would have distorted everything. So having B20 then coming up here, maybe it had to
Huge
happen.
change, yeah.
Maybe it had to happen that way. So
You got to crawl to walk to run, right?
baptism by fire.
Yeah.
It's easier that way.
Right.
All right. Episode 1, Voices of Allen. Not to be confused with Faces of Allen.
Yeah.
Voices of Allen, episode 1. Josiah, appreciate you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. Thank you for
taking the
doing this.
time. Yeah, my pleasure.
I look forward to just telling stories.
I got a lot of stories.
Oh, I'm sure you do. So do I.
All right. Thank you.